Hey guys, welcome back to more political chatter. In this video, we will be talking about my first election prediction between Christie and Joe Biden. Just about a week or two ago, Christie announced that he would be running for president in the 2024 Republican primaries in a now pretty crowded field. We have 9 candidates right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 candidates right now. With Francis Suarez about to get in, that would make him the 11th, and possibly Mike Rogers will also get in, and possibly Bolton, Hurd, and Perry. So there could be around 15, but Christie was the 10th candidate to get in, I think. And don't get me wrong, he is not winning the Republican nomination, even though there are quite a few people who respect him, respect what he's saying. In a poll, only 6% of Republicans said that they would even consider supporting him. Not that they are supporting him. Only 6% said that they were even considering supporting him. But he has reached 1% in quite a few polls now. So, and I am pretty confident that he will get 40,000 donors. I really think that that he will be pretty easily be able to reach that. So I do think that Christie will get in the debates. But yeah, as I said, he really doesn't have any shot winning that nomination. I mean, that poll shows it right there. I mean, he did not have the best record as governor of New Jersey, and people won't forget about that. And plus, he is really running an anti-Trump campaign, and there's still a lot of Trump supporters in the Republican Party, and he really doesn't have any chance of winning any of those people either. So, with that being said, let's get into this election prediction. First, we will start off with the Democrats' safe states of California, Oregon, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, Maine's 1st District, along with Illinois and Hawaii. Colorado is tough to call. It's either likely or safe. But I would call it safe. I mean, looking at Joe Odea's performance, he was a moderate Republican similar to Christie. Looking at his performance in the Senate election in 2022, and with Colorado's trends, I would think that Colorado would go to Biden by a 15% margin or more. By the way, safe states are states with a 15% or higher margin. I will also add Connecticut into there. I wasn't going to, since it is like a northeastern state, but honestly, I mean, Christie will just be such a poor candidate. He just, I don't know, you know how it is. So now we will characterize our safe Christie states. So that will be Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska at large. Nebraska's 3rd. Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, West Virginia. And that, I think, is it. I mean, I really don't think Christie will be very strong of a candidate at all. And I definitely think that that he will lack in Republican areas, especially, rural states. I think that will definitely be an area that Christie will struggle in. I mean, just turning out the traditional Republican voters will be a struggle, because a lot of people will look at his gubernatorial record and how he only had, a 7% approval rating or something insane like that. And they're going to say, I can't support this guy for president. So now let's get into our likely states. So these states will be decided by a 5 to 15% margin. Starting with Joe Biden. Definitely New Mexico, if not safe. That's right around that verge of being safe, but I think there are enough Republicans for Christie to at least make it a likely state. Maine at large could very well be safe, but that's probably a stretch, so I'll keep it likely. New Jersey is Christie's home state, so this will be a little closer, obviously. I don't know, maybe, but I don't think I need to go into explanation with that one too much. Virginia is a very Democratic state, and honestly, Christie wouldn't do that poorly here compared to Trump's performance. Because, I feel that there are a lot more, moderate voters here who were really against Trump in 2020. And Christie would be able to win those voters, but lack in other voter blocks. So Virginia, I think, is likely for Biden. Minnesota, definitely, it's a very Democratic state, but saying that Biden won it by 7, Tim Walz won the gubernatorial by 7 in 2022. I don't feel that Christie would be weak enough of a candidate to shift it by 8 to the left. So I think that Michigan is likely blue. And then there's the blue wall, where, Trump won here because, in 2016, because he, targeted those white working class voters. Those white working class voters turned out for him because he said, build the wall, all this stuff. And Christie, oh my God, he is nowhere near that. He is going to definitely lack in these areas. I think that Michigan is a likely Biden state. I don't think that Wisconsin or Pennsylvania are, though. And that's going to be it. Amazingly, Biden is kind of almost at 270. He's doing very well. Oh, one more. New Hampshire. Even though this is a state that Christie, likes to target in primaries, I don't feel that he would come that close, even though he's a northeastern guy. Maybe it could be lean. I'm thinking on the low likely side. All right, now likely Christie states. There's a few that are very Republican. Montana, I don't think I need to go through them too much. Kansas, Maine's first, Missouri, Indiana, South Carolina, Alaska. All states that are very Republican. Trump won most of them by a safe. No, he actually did not. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he did actually. Trump won most of them by a solid margin in 2020. But again, Christie, I feel, will have a hard time turning out that entire Republican base. And these states, I think, will be pretty close. Sorry, not that close, but not a safe margin, below 15%. All right, continuing with Christie likely states. Are there any more? No, that's it. Okay, so Biden is at 240. He's 30 votes, 30 electoral votes away. Christie is at 125. So Christie is just right above half of Biden's number. So I think you guys know who's going to win this election prediction. All right, now moving on to lean states. These states, I believe, will be decided by a 1 to 5% margin, starting with President Biden, definitely the state of Pennsylvania and the state of Wisconsin. As I explained earlier, Christie will have a very hard time among the white working class voters. That Trump won in 2016, Biden won most of them back in 2020, and that shifts, goes with the entire election. Trump won the election in 2016. Biden won in 2020. So, Christie will just fail big time with those voters. And Biden just needs one more state to win. But can he do it? Let's see. So, Nevada, obviously going to Joe Biden, lean, if not likely. Trump, it also needs to be said that, Latinos have not turned out for a Republican ever like they have for Trump on the presidential level. And that's big in a lot of states like Nevada, Arizona, Florida. That definitely comes into play in such close states. So, and Christie will not be able to turn out Latinos like Trump was able to do, nowhere close. So I feel that Biden wins Nevada and wins the presidential election. Georgia, even though Georgia does have a recent record of voting for moderate Republicans, I don't see it for Christie, even though he is a moderate, because he's not like a Southern traditional conservative. He is, he could be described as like a neoliberal, okay? definitely. Comes from New Jersey, won't appeal to Republican voters here at all. That Trump lost in 2020 due to him being Trump. So Georgia, I feel would go to Joe Biden. North Carolina, I think that Chris Christie loses also by just over a point or two. I mean, this is one that hasn't gone to Democrats lately on the presidential level, but um, but I don't know. Again, Chris Christie is not like most Republicans, though. He's not like Ted Budd or even like Mark Robinson, the gubernatorial candidate. He's a weaker candidate than Mark Robinson. He just appeals to no one. That is what a lot of it is. He appeals to very, very few people. Continuing for lean Biden states, Maine 2nd District, I think, flips to Biden. Maine 2nd District loves outsiders. Chris Christie literally described himself on the town hall yesterday as an establishment candidate. So, obviously, I think that Maine 2nd would flip. That's why they like Trump so much, too. Yeah, I mean, I guess Nebraska 2nd. I mean, I don't know. I'll keep Nebraska 2nd as likely, I guess. I forgot to do that one. Went to Biden by 6.6 in 2020. And with lean states still. That's going to be it for Biden. For Christie, I would guess Iowa and Ohio, both go lean for Christie. I mean, Trump did make them so partisan. There are now so many more Republican voters, but again, he would really lack. I'm thinking a 1 to 2 point win in both states, just above the tilt margin. So Arizona, Texas, and Florida, I think, are all tilt. Starting with Arizona, this is Biden territory. I mean, sure, this is a more moderate Republican state, and that's why it is so close. But still, there are Trump supporters in Arizona. We can't forget that. And obviously, those voters are not turning out for Chris Christie. And then we have Texas and Florida, a combined 70 electoral votes, both of which I am extremely unsure on. I mean, I guess I'll start with Texas, where I think that Biden would flip the state from red to blue. I mean, this is one, again, where Trump turned out Latino voters like never seen before for a Republican. And Texas, when it comes to Republicans, Texas is Trump territory. I mean, DeSantis is not even coming close in the presidential primary here. So Chris Christie would obviously have a hard time turning out those voters. So I think that Texas goes blue. I never have Texas going blue in my predictions, even for very weak candidates. But for Chris Christie, I think that Texas flips blue. And then we have Florida, where the Republicans are very pro-Trump. And then again, it only went to Trump by 3, okay, in 2020. Sure, it went to DeSantis by 20, but this is a very different election. Chris Christie is not as strong as Ron DeSantis. So I think that Florida goes tilt Biden. I know this prediction is kind of insane. I bet a lot of people will disagree with me on Texas and Florida. But this is what I truly think. I just think that Chris Christie appeals to absolutely no one, and that it would be a Biden blowout. Joe Biden wins with 390 electoral votes. It is a landslide to Chris Christie's 148. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all for the next video later sometime. I don't know when.